All right, I'm going to try and take not too long here and talk about one lines. But for the sake of that, there's a few other things we want to get to. A one line is, I think we've been looking at it already. It's the goggles to the project. You can have projects that don't have any one lines in them, and they're kind of hard to follow. Normally renovation projects might be candidates for that. If it is very straightforward and it's only one panel board involved, but otherwise they normally don't have these branch devices on here. These are scheduled. And again, you could look at the work results and the specifications and see the things that are on here. You should see them in there. So UPS, looks like there's maybe there's a resistive load bank there. I don't know, is that the owner that's providing that? Not sure. In this case, for the sake of discussing service arrangements, you can have a primary or a secondary service from the utility. Primary being one that is the transformers owned by the customer and also needing to be maintained, serviced by the customer, whereas the secondary service would be at a voltage that the utility is owning the transformer, maintaining it, replacing it if it's, you know, something happens to it, or and charging a little bit higher of energy costs, because like we said, with 3, 5, 7% of losses through, depending on the load as well. Maybe that's not exactly, it will be that regardless, but the client can have not a responsibility of that equipment as well by accepting a little bit higher energy costs. Motor coordination, we've talked a decent amount about this concept of inrush. So the code also has, and we could go, so for instance, one more code piece here, within site, disconnects need to be within site. So if you find that in the code, you would go to the definitions to understand what that means. So the front of the code has a definition section. Apparently there are a lot of definitions. Within site. Probably going to pick the wrong term to search for it. Within site. I'm picking the wrong term to search for it, but that's okay. I'm not going to stop us to make sure I find it. All right. Looking at the time here, we have, looks like at 8:30 is 8:30 Central is when we will seek to land and have 30 minutes of open time. So I'll pause here for a moment to find out if there was any further questions about the section we went through here, which is quite a bit of contract documents, specs. Any questions I should talk more to?